older than her sister, it didn't mean she held any sway, and as Susan had held a party on the Friday, Maxine had decided that Saturday was for her. She had gone straight out to the local pub with her friends. It had a great jukebox and was more like a club, so they'd be dancing all night. Susan had lent Maxine her black ankle boots and lacy tights, threatening certain death if either weren't returned in perfect condition. She had made Maxine promise to get the last bus home, and if she was good to her word, their mother would know nothing about the party or the night out. Despite her best efforts, Susan felt her eyes grow heavy and her body relax into the cosy embrace of the bed. She pulled her hands into a fist, digging her nails into the palms of her hands to try and stay awake, but soon enough the grip loosened, and Susan knew she wouldn't be awake for much longer. Telling herself she was being too big sisterly, and Maxine was old enough to make sure the door was shut, Susan let every muscle in her body relax and drifted off. A loud bang dragged her back into the land of the living. Although her ears had woken up, her eyes hadn't yet opened, and sticky remnants of sleep glued her eyelids together. There was another noise, not as loud as the first, and this time it seemed to be directly below her, in the living room. What was Maxine doing in there? Had she drank so much she was stumbling around the living room? Susan had only just cleared the place up after the party, and now Maxine was making another mess when she should have come straight up to bed. Susan untangled her arms from the blankets and rubbed her eyes. She really didn't want to have to get up again, so first of all she tilted her head to try and hear what was going on. Another sound. What on earth was it? Furniture being dragged. Then the sound of glass tinkling. "Oh, please tell me you're not raiding the drinks cabinet," muttered Susan, imagining a drunken Maxine sneaking some of their parents' spirits as she'd actually done with her best friend before last night's party. Whatever her sister was doing, Susan resigned herself to the fact that she had to get up and march Maxine back to bed. As she pulled back her covers to the now bitingly cold room, she blew out clouds of breath in front of her. Their parents had a rule about central heating. It went on from November to March, and then you simply had to wear more layers. It didn't matter that this summer had been a washout, and September had certainly not delivered the mellow fruitfulness usually associated with the month, but instead more days of non-stop cold rain. Susan got up and pulled her dressing gown tightly around her. She didn't want to wake her eyes any more than she had to, so didn't put on the light, but instead held the banister and walked slowly down the staircase. Her dressing gown cord dragged wearily on each step, and as she got halfway down, she stopped. There was another sound from the living room. "Maxine," she called out, "what on earth are you doing?" The sound stopped, and a floorboard creaked as steps walked towards the living room door. "If you're at the Drambuie, Dad will be able to tell," continued Susan as she stomped down the remaining stairs. The living room door edged open, and Susan could see a small torchlight pointed downwards at the carpet. She felt the hairs on her arms stand on edge and knew this wasn't her sister. "Who's there?" she called out, trying to sound braver than she actually felt. "You'd better get out now. I'm calling the police." Susan pictured the phone in her parents' room and the safety of a door between her and whoever was in the house. She turned to run upstairs. When the teenage Maxie Reddick eventually got home, the memory of that last Oasis track still playing in her mind, she found the back door wide open and her sister in the cold, silent hallway. Dead. Chapter 2. Present Day. When we started, we were one of the only podcasts around, but nowadays everyone and his dog has one. Craig Johnston passed his co-host a sheet of paper showing the steadily declining audience figures for their own show, Criminal Thoughts. Professor Maxie Reddick glanced at them, seeing that last night's edition had achieved an all-time low, and shrugged. "So what do we have to do to get people listening again?" she asked, handing the sheet back. Craig was a crime journalist, and Maxie a professor of criminology at the local university.